Welcome to everyone. So this is IRCAM Amplify, but it's quite the same. It's great, and we will explain what is IRCAM Amplify. We are really happy to be there. This is the end of the afternoon. Everybody is very tired, and it's really warm in that room. So thank you for being there. We had a short presentation of the three of us, but I just give you some more details. So, dear Corinna, Dr. Corinna Szto, a researcher, you are a researcher at the intersection of the human sciences and artificial intelligence. And you hold a PhD from Sorbonne University with research focusing on the relationship between creativity and algorithmic generation. Congrats. Frédéric, you are the CTO of IRCAM Amplify and one of France's leading experts in audio and signal processing. And you worked for over 20 years on embedded systems for the automotive industry before joining IRCAM Amplify when it was founded 6 years ago. And so I'm Nathalie, your guest. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IRCAM Amplify, and I created the company 6 years ago. So after around 10 years of managing complex programs in culture and media sectors. So what is IRCAM Amplify? Maybe you know this company, maybe not. This is an independent technology company, and our mission is to enrich and protect the audio creation of tomorrow. So we are so happy with Frédéric and in this conversation with Corinna to be there and to explain and to talk about that great subject, which is the creative integrity and algorithmic innovation with a dual approach on that subject. At IRCAM Amplify, we have a mission to enrich and protect the audio creation of tomorrow. And I can give right now some figures and data about the market, just to give you some more context about AI in music industry. First, there is a massive adoption of AI in creative and promotional uses right now. Maybe you know, if you have read the Lander study, that 87% of artists already use AI in their workflow. 87%, it's huge. It's almost all the artists that are using AI right now. And so there is an explosion of volumes of generated content. As an example, the platform Deezer, which has its own tool to detect AI-gen music, indicates that 34% of all tracks delivered to the platform are now fully AI-generated. So 1/3 of all the content, and it means it represents 40,000 tracks per day. So this is like a tsunami. And it implies a deep transformation in value chains. And from an economic standpoint, CESAC has been warning since 2023 about 3 risks in the music industry. The opacity, first, the opacity of human contributions. It's more and more difficult to understand the origin of a content. Second, the difficulty in correctly attributing rights. And last one, the saturation of catalogs with content not declared as synthetic. So this is a big challenge for all the industry, and we are all very concerned about that question, even if, of course, we think that AI is a great opportunity for all the content creators. And that's why it is difficult to build a boundary. And we are not there to say it's good or it's not good. We are really there to discuss about the impacts and the challenges that has raised by AI. So the objective of that talk, that conversation with my two friends, will be to cross technical, conceptual, and industrial perspectives in order to understand how creativity works and infrastructures must evolve in that new era. And we will cross into 3 themes with you today. First one, what AI is changing in terms of uses from creation to distribution in the music industry. Second one, we will talk about what is an hybrid work, because it's here. 87% of artists are using AI, so hybridation will be the key word in the next few months and years. And last one, the need to frame these new practices with more traceability, metadata, and emerging standards. To begin, the change in terms of use from creation to distribution. we already see the impact of the development of mainstream platforms, such as Udio or Suno. Maybe who has tried to use one of those models, Suno or Udio? Not much. Okay, you have to try it. Or solutions such as Clay or Eleven Labs, and they position themselves as partners of the music industry. It's really important. They are right now partners. So a few days ago, there has been some agreements between those platforms, those AI platforms, and the leaders in the music industry, the majors. And we can already observe the issues this raises in the rights management for the human that create music, and the impact of discoverability, and therefore on cultural diversity. I will ask to Corinna and Fred one question to begin the conversation. According to you, what are the challenges raised by such new uses, if we go a little bit more in detail? Frédéric, please.
So to me, the first challenge is the right management itself. It has to evolve. Because the traditional ecosystem music, you have today two main actors. You have the lyrics writer and the composer. With the Genia now you have a newcomer, a new contributor, which is the one that creates the machine, that grabs the data, and sometimes that trains the model itself. Because this person will really shape the output sound. That means now we have to rethink about what is a creator and how it works. And after that, to fairly distribute the value between all of them. The second part is, yes, the discoverability, because as Nathalie mentioned, we have more and more audio tracks on the platform, so it becomes very difficult for a human creator to exist in this ecosystem. It was already very complex before, but now it's even more complex. So to me, an important thing is for us, the listener, we should know what are we listening to. That means we need to know who is the creator and how is it created. Is it whether a human, a full-gen prompt-based track, or something in the middle, what we call the hybrid works. And so, if you project into 1-2 years, all the tracks will be hybrid, in fact.
I will start by saying that I honestly believe in computational creativity, of course, which is at the core of my research. And I don't really understand the necessity of tracing, actually, to see if who really made it. Was it artificial intelligence? Was it made exclusively by a human being behind it, behind the system? Or is it a hybrid work of art, the sound? Why am I saying that? Because this makes me think of the Turing test. And at the end, music and every work of art is about reception. And if reception considers it as an original work of art and as a pleasing to hearing work of art, why would we have to have traceability from this point of view, which is human-centered? I mean, this would be actually my point of view. And also, I don't feel like this, because Nathalie, you asked what would be the challenges, actually, what is actually changing. And for me, I don't really see what changes with the emergence of artificial intelligences. Why? Because I feel like, let's put it into quotes, plagiarism is at the core of every sound that exists. Why? Because the inspiration doesn't come ex nihilo. It comes from something. It emerges from something that already exists. And I've been seeing a lot of videos from singers. For example, Sting was saying, I just created a sound and it made me think of Stevie Wonder. So I invited him to be part of it because it took a lot of things of his own work. So I think that this inspiration, human brains and artificial brains work in this way, the same way, because we have patterns that we have in our databases, we have corpora in our minds because we listen to this from a young age. So at some point, we just generate the same outputs or very similar outputs because at the same time, we don't really have an infinite possibility to create, right? No matter if it's music, visual art, or I don't think there is an infinite output of possibilities.
And that raises the question of the new definition of the boundary between a human creation or a not human creation. And this is so difficult to define. And that's why maybe there is a difference if we try to play in that ground, and it's not easy. That there is a difference between a fully generated music, like a text-to-music, a prompted Gen AI music, with no creative intention, because all is in the intention you put in a creation, and the one where a human is creating something, maybe with a new tool, which is AI. And that's really different. AI could be considered as a new instrument too. So that's why we have this conversation, because it's not black or white, it's gray, and it's open the creative question, which is a difficult one. How this reshapes both the artistic process, what is the place of AI in an artistic process, and the way an entire sector structures its model. Because there is another impact of AI in the music industry, the workflows, the impact on the supply chains of music, because the volume is huge, and at the end, the content could be less qualitative. And that's, of course, that raises the question of discoverability, we talked about that, but also about the quality of the experience at the end of the value chain for the listener. So if we try to define or to talk about that definition of an hybrid work, we can ask ourselves how AI can intervene as a companion. And we are not in the case of a text-to-music, prompt music with no creative intention. So AI as a companion to generate melodies, to automate arrangements, or maybe to assist harmonizations, will it open a new creative field for artists? Corinna, please.
It might open new creative fields if used as a tool of enhancing what we already have. For example, if we have a database, as we were talking a few days ago, and an artist, for example, wishes to transform its own music on which he has a full copyright and everything, I think it could be a companion. But it could be also, it could, in my opinion, have its own agentivity and just create something independently of what the human behind it could want. But that's a different discussion.
Yeah, really, I think, as you said, so this is really the hybrid things to me, because if we go to the fully generated content, when we talk about IT per prompt, high-level music, I cannot give my intention to the system, and at the end you have the images of the machine itself. So what is needed to be done is really created some machine, while during the training and the way it has been made guarantees that the artist intention, the artist creativity goes through the machine. So that means it has to be controllable, and it could be controllable by a melody. If I am a musician and I know the music grammar, I can enter it. But to me, it has also to be multimodal, because I could enter my drawing, my, I don't know, whatever I can manage as a creating act and give it to the machine and having some surprise at the end. It's what you said about having a small data set coming from one specific artist. it's great because you know who is the artist, so the traceability is okay. It's a kind of new way to mix the music. When you mix a track, you pick some different artist tracks and you create a new one. So same thing could be done with an AI system, only if this AI system gives you the ability to control and to reshape, redefine, to be sure at the end it goes to the target you have in mind and not the one of the machine.
So we see two different, at least two different questions. The one of the way that AI is used as a companion and or a new tool in the creation process, in the creative process, and the need from the music industry to have more and more capability of knowing the intelligence, like the quality of the music, not in the term of it's good quality or not, but to qualify the music and to have more and more, let's say, music intelligence to be confident and to be more to have more capability of knowing what is in the chain, in the flow. And we can say that AI in music is not just a technological issue. To make a conclusion, it is, according to me, at least, but I'm sure for everyone, it is a social issue and a cultural issue, an issue of shared responsibility, because it's not easy and we see 2 points of view here to define that boundaries between human creation and AI creation, and the AI. Will AI be like a new kind of artist or a new instrument, and how it will be determined and analyzed by some technologies? And the challenge, one of the challenges will be to analyze and to maybe to detect the amount of AI in a content as accurately and reliably as possible, to help and to give trust and transparency in the chain. So we can say that we will need altogether in the music industry to need a frame for these new practices that we have seen for traceability, metadata, and emerging standards. And we maybe can share a conclusion with our guests. If you, Corinna, if you want to say something to finish this conversation.
Yes, you talked about intention, and I'm not really sure that for me artwork is based on intention. I don't think what defines art is intention, because we have like different examples from the animal world, from artificial intelligence emerging right now, which are having an output, a very artistic output. And they pass the Turing test with, if we ask people, is this art? Everyone is going to say yes. Is art? Is it made by human? Yes, it's most likely made by human. So I would not say intention is everything when it comes to art. And also, for me, I don't think we should be restraining creativity to a human-centered view. I think that multimodal models could be as creative or even more creative than human beings, because they can actually perceive sounds, and because sounds and colors and images and everything, it's just waves. So human eyes and human hearing is just biologically made to be simplified so we can survive. But I think machines don't have this survival necessity. So I believe it could even expand the concept of creativity, because they can see, well, see as in perceiving, they can perceive waves with a different length. For example, for vision or for sound, we don't hear all the sounds. We hear only what is not overwhelming for us, for our human interface in the evolutionary standard, so we could survive. So I think that machines could just take this further, because they don't have the our necessities in the tangible world.
Thank you. And maybe Frédéric, if you want to add something about the metadata or the impact on the infrastructures.
Yeah, in the infrastructure, especially in the music industry, there is a standard called DDEX. The DDEX is a way for the distributors, the publisher, to exchange the metadata about an audio track, for example. And in this metadata, you currently have the creation date, the author, the composer, and whatever. And since 6 months ago, they had in this a new field which is called contains here. And this contains here could be yes, no, or partially. So that means on the kernel of the music industry, this has an impact, and it has an impact because of what we discussed just before, everything about the right management and for an artist to be able to exist in this ecosystem.
Thank you, and I will conclude saying that at the end, human creativity is evolving. It's evolving, and it will change a lot in the coming years, but it remains central. We are all humans, and we are all hoping that our children will know what is human creation. And of course, technological solutions can help keep human and computational contributions readable and traceable. That's what is the most important. And we're working on that at IRCAM Amplify. We have a solution called AI Music Detector to help the ecosystem to detect and analyze the music. And we think that transparency is the key to a balanced and responsible music ecosystem for the future. Thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you.